Hey guys, it's Miss McConaughey here, and I just wanted to read a few pages out of our book today. Our book is called Interactive Science, and it's published by Pearson. And I just wanted to go over the lesson about the plant life cycle before you have to answer any questions. Now, whenever you get to your little quiz after I read to you, whenever you click on that link, these exact same pages are going to be there posted with your questions so you can go back and read it. But I just wanted to read it to you first so you could hear it in case some of the words are kind of hard to read, or just so you can, sometimes when you hear it and then you see it, it just helps with understanding. So I thought we might start off with that today. So if you want to follow along while I read, that's great. If you want to listen, that's great. But I just wanted to read a few pages to you. So this page is about plant life cycles, and it says, living things change during their lives. Most living things begin their lives small and then grow larger. They may develop certain features as they change into adults. They reproduce to make new living things, to make more living things of the same kind. Eventually, living things die. The stages through which a living thing passes during its life are called a life cycle. That's the most important thing on this page, that definition. The stages through which a living thing passes during its life are called a life cycle. Most plants go through similar changes during their life cycles, but plant life cycles can differ in important ways. For example, plants reproduce or make more of their own kind in different ways. Most plants make seeds that can grow into new plants. Some plants reproduce by making spores instead of seeds. Plants that reproduce in different ways have different life cycles. We'll talk more about that in a page or two. All right, on this next page, your most important words are your titles and then what's highlighted. And hint, hint, you might have questions about these words. So we've got pollination or pollinate, and then germination, and the verb form is germinate. So listen carefully as I especially read the sentences that have those vocabulary words in them. Pollination. Flowering plants grow flowers that make seeds. Flowers have different parts. One part makes pollen. Another part, the petals, attracts bees and other animals to the flower. Animals or wind can pollinate or carry pollen to another flower. Pollination happens when animals or wind move pollen to the part of the flower that makes seeds. Okay, so real quick, animals or wind, when they carry pollination or carry pollen to another flower, that's called pollination. Next section is about germination. Seeds need air, the right amount of water, and the right temperatures to germinate or begin to grow. So germinate means begin to grow. With the right conditions, the young plant or seedling germinates. The seedling uses food stored in the seed to grow. And then for your caption here, with that beautiful picture of a flower, it says, pollen sticks to the bodies of bees as bees look for food. Bees can carry this pollen to the part of another flower that makes seeds. Okay, next page. So this page has a diagram. It's sort of an illustration of the life cycle of a flowering plant. This particular diagram shows us the life cycle of a tomato plant. It tells us a tomato plant is a kind of flowering plant. The life cycle of a tomato plant has several stages as shown in this diagram. Okay, so your first stage in the life cycle of a tomato plant is germination, or germinating seed. A tomato seed germinates when water, oxygen, and warm temperatures are present. A stem grows upward and roots grow downward. That's stage one. Next stage in the life cycle of the tomato plant is called growth. The young plant grows leaves and starts to make sugar for food. It grows into an adult plant with flowers. Okay, continuing on in its life, the third stage of the tomato plant's life is pollination. Some tomato flowers make pollen. Other flowers use that pollen to make seeds. Pollination happens when pollen moves from one tomato flower to another. And then the fourth stage of the tomato plant's life is the adult stage. So it says adult plant with seeds. And that's a picture of the plant with tomatoes growing off of it. The tomato is a fruit. Oh, did you think it was a vegetable? Look at that. The tomato is a fruit made by the tomato plant. It contains seeds formed after pollination. The seeds can become new plants. So real quick, I want to ask you, what's the first stage of the tomato plant's life? If you said germination or germinating seed, you're correct. And then another key thought for this page, a tomato is the fruit part of the plant. Okay, the next page gives me another diagram and another life cycle, but this time it's the life cycle of a conifer. Pine trees are conifers. Conifer plants grow cones instead of flowers to make seeds. So the stages are very similar. Your first stage is germination. The germinating seed, it says to germinate a pine tree seed needs water, oxygen, and warm temperatures. A seedling grows from the germinated seed. Next, stage 2. Oh, they didn't write it. They would want us to if we all had our book, but this is the growth stage, just like on the other one. Over many years, the pine seedling grows into a tall adult tree. The tree makes small pollen cones and larger seed cones. Next, just like on the flowering plant, the third stage is called pollination. Small pollen cones make pollen. Wind carries the pollen to the large cones where seeds are made. And then finally, you've got stage 4, the adult plant with seeds. Seeds develop in the seed cones. That's very important for you to remember that. Seeds of a pine tree develop in seed cones. Have you ever seen pine cones out there? And maybe they fell off the tree into the yard. The seeds fall to the ground when the cones open. The seeds can become new plants. Okay, so there's the life cycle of the pine tree or the conifer plant. Okay, we just have a couple more pages. So this page goes into other plant life cycles, and I'm just going to read this if you want to follow along or listen carefully. Some plants have two kinds of life cycles. They make seed plants that can grow into new plants, but they can also reproduce another way. The stem of a strawberry plant can bend over and touch the soil. New roots form on the stem. They grow into the soil and a new strawberry plant forms. Dandelion plants use their roots to reproduce. I'm going to read that again. Dandelion plants use their roots to reproduce. Their roots send stems up out of the soil. The stems grow into new dandelion plants. Some plants use leaves to reproduce. Forgive me if I mispronounce this plant name. The calancho plant. You can comment below on my YouTube video if I mispronounce that. The calancho plant, shown below, reproduces this way. Tiny new plants grow from the edges of the adult's leaves. The tiny plants fall off and send roots into the soil. Ferns and mosses make spores instead of seeds. A spore can start to grow when it falls to the ground. This forms a new fern or moss plant. It's an interesting plant. Okay, next, last page is the life cycle length. Some plants live for only a short time. For example, many desert plants grow, flower, and make seeds over a period of a few weeks. Their seeds germinate only when rain falls. Other plants plants have a 1 year or 2 year life cycle. For example, farmers have to plant new green bean seeds every spring. Many trees can live longer than humans do. The chart to the right shows the average length of the life cycles of some of these trees. And you're going to see this chart again when you do the little quiz for the day. But you've got the American elm. It can live anywhere from 175 to 200 years. The bristlecone pine can live, look at that, 3,000 years. That's amazing. The Douglas fir can live 300 years, and the redwood can live 500 years. Those are the average lengths of those trees' life cycles. Feel free to listen to this as many times as you need to before going on to your quiz. But again, whenever you open up your quiz, if I have for example, if I have a question about the chart, this exact chart is going to be listed right there. But I just wanted you to hear the information before you had to take a quiz over it. Okay, see you guys later.